on that subject of recruitment, because I think a lot of people maybe poured scorn on the way that Leeds were doing business, because they've largely signed players from the Bundesliga, of course, which is where Jesse Marsch has made his name. They've signed a couple of American players as well. So again, that lazy stereotype comes in with American coaches and American players. But you know what I think we're seeing this season, maybe more than any other? We're seeing the clubs, the smaller clubs that do their recruitment properly, that do their homework, they are embarrassing the so-called big guns in the Premier League. You look at Brighton, they've lost 2 of their most important players from last season. Hasn't made a jot of difference. They've got 7 points out of 9 because they already had successors lined up. You look at Brentford, who've recruited well. All right, lost yesterday, but obviously played Manchester United off the park. You look at Leeds as well. And then you look at Chelsea. And I think it is lazy. Perry Grove said it on the Sunday session. You don't need a massive scouting department to come down on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And the same with Manchester United. I could have told them to go and sign Casemiro. You don't need a massive recruitment team to find him as a world-class central defensive midfielder. And I think actually, because they've rested on their laurels, some of these big clubs, and just thought, well, we're Manchester United, we can buy who we want, it doesn't matter, no one's ever going to catch us. They are being caught up by the clubs that are properly run.
I'm so with you on that, but I'm going to play devil's advocate, because I think those established teams want success yesterday, and that's why they go and get the experience and the players that have done it, in my opinion. And the worst thing is, I feel when Leicester did the scouting of Kante and he came out and people, they could have gave him to Arsenal and us.
Well, they were the first example, because that season they literally caught the rest of the established Big Six with their pants down.
Yeah,
Leicester.
But the only reason why I'm playing devil's advocate, because, and that's why sometimes if you do go get an unknown, they'll turn around and say, well, this so-and-so was in the market, why don't you go and get them? And I think that's the balance that the big teams have. You know, they've got that expectation. They've got certain results ain't good enough. They want success yesterday. And, you know, fans, as much as fans, when it goes right, they're for it and say, it's great business, which I'm for. But then when it doesn't, they're quick to say, well, why don't you go and splash the cash, and X amount of person will be this amount of person, and they need to go and get the experience and the people who have done it. So that is, listen, it's a catch-22 for, I think, the top boys. But would you say the lesser teams are showing, you know, go do your recruit. It is lazy. Go do your recruit. And maybe you may have to go get a big name and a small name beside each other so it balances out the expectations from the fans. But do your due diligence. But it is like I'm going to throw that and say it is a catch-22, because if they do bring in an unknown player to Man United now, they'll turn around and say, well, so-and-so was available, why don't you go and get him? And that's I think the problem and the issue some of the big boys have.
Great stuff. Keep your calls coming. 03717 22 33 44. Back up to St James's Park. There is shortly. Newcastle 2-1 in front at half-time against the champions Manchester City. And we need to talk about West Ham. Rock bottom. Next.